if a man used a coupon on a date, how would you feel about that? Just because you have an audience doesn't mean that you're qualified for every opportunity that has an audience. Could you be friends with someone who supports President Trump? Don't take jobs you're not qualified for. If people are not creating babies, then there are no workers to then go do the tasks for the elites. Some of you are on the red carpet looking crazy, looking unqualified, looking ignorant, looking like you don't know who Babyface is. Okay? Hey guys, welcome to season 3 of Too Personal. I'm Joy Taylor. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much. We've had a little bit of a break, and I appreciate everyone who came back to check us out and the newcomers as well. I'm so excited for this season. It's been quite a few months off. We had a really great season last year, lots of fun guests, a lot of good times and great conversations. And this year is going to be a little bit different. As you can see, we have a new set. So we've changed studios. We're going to be doing some stuff remotely. We're going to be doing stuff all over the world. A bunch of different guests this year, a lot more integrated from you guys, the viewers and listeners. So I definitely want to hear from you. I'll be doing some lives, maybe even some in-person stuff. So I'm just really excited to be back. It's been a real journey over the past couple months. There's a lot that's happened. Really did a lot of traveling, which I'm sure you've been keeping up with. I've been to a couple different countries, had an amazing birthday, had an amazing start to the year because I don't know if you saw, but the Miami Hurricanes had quite a run. So I was able to spend a lot of time with my family and follow that team around, which was amazing. It didn't end how we wanted, but still a very storybook run. I've got to spend a lot of time with my family, a lot of friends. We've got new babies on the way. There's a lot happening personally for me. So I'm really excited to be back. On the other side of that, there's also a lot of things that are happening around the world. Some things that I didn't weigh in on yet. The war, that's happening. The Epstein files, that happened, I guess is still happening. The Oscars. What else have we talked about? The Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl. We have concentration camps now. There's a lot that's happened over the past couple months that we didn't touch on because we were not doing episodes. A lot of that is still unfolding, so I'm sure we'll get to it throughout the season. And, there's still the ongoing gender wars and relationship conversations. I actually saw on Threads this week. If you're not following me on Threads, go follow at Joy Taylor Talks. I saw on Threads this week another question about dating. Like, if a man used a coupon on a date, how would you feel about that? Free us from these conversations, the shackles of these conversations. I thought we were done with this. The world is ending, guys. We don't need to keep talking about this shit. Like, it's a coupon. Save your money, okay? We don't know. You don't know when you're going to need that extra cash. Use that Groupon, honey. It's so crazy. Anyway, there's a lot that we missed, but we're excited to get into it this year. This particular episode being episode 1, I'm not going to have a guest on. I'm going to get into a couple of the different topics that I've been wanting to talk about this week. Of course, every week we'll have our rants and we will have guests and a lot of other features. We're bringing back Never Too Personal. So we still want to hear from you guys, advice, stories, questions, all of that. So make sure that you like, share, follow, and subscribe if you haven't already done that, and give us your stories as well. And let me know how you want to interact, because I was thinking maybe we would should I get on Reddit? Do like a Reddit feed? Is that too far? I don't know. But I do want to talk to you guys and hang out. So let me know how you want to do that as well. But yeah, there's a lot going on this week. There's a lot of conversations that have been going on for the past couple weeks. And I was trying to decide what I wanted to talk about today. And one of the things that I really feel very strongly about and have had a lot of conversations about over the years, and this has come back again because of the Oscars, and it's been an ongoing conversation online and just within the business, which is this journalists versus creator conversation. Do creators, belong on the red carpet? Do they belong in spaces that traditional journalists have existed in? And there's a lot of opinions flying around about this. I think I personally am a pretty qualified person to give my opinion on this, being a creator and being trained as a traditional journalist and working my entire career in the opinion space. So I've touched on all these things at a very high level. I went to school for broadcast journalism. I graduated with honors from a private university, a school that I sit on the board of trustees on now. So I have all of those qualifications. I've also worked in the creator space for a very long time. I've worked in the digital space for a very long time. My opinion on this is pretty simple. Don't take jobs you're not qualified for. And if you're going to take a job you're not qualified for, do the work so that you at least appear competent. And if you are struggling, be honest with the audience about that. There's no reason that creators shouldn't be in those traditional journalist spaces. They're going to be in those spaces. The world has changed. Traditional journalism still has a very, very important place in the business, in media, and it's very necessary. But when we're talking about the shifting media landscape and creators getting these huge jobs and these huge opportunities, it's because they've built online communities, and those businesses, those spaces, they want to use those creators to bring their audience to these spaces. They want to target different audiences. They want to target young people. They want to expand the reach of their production. So let's just use the Oscars, for example. And the reason that this has become controversial is because obviously there have been some creators who have been given these opportunities who have, quite frankly, bombed. They have been embarrassing. They have not known who particular artists or particular actors or directors were. They were clearly not researched. They were clearly not people who were qualified to be in live spaces. And they didn't really respect the opportunity that they were given. That doesn't mean that they should never be in those spaces. But I do think that from my career perspective and the things that I've done throughout almost 20 years, there's been opportunities that I've turned down because I wasn't qualified for it, that were offered to me. And I was like, look, I don't really know this space very well. I'm not going to do a very good job. I will do it. I can do it, but I'm sure that there's someone better for this opportunity. Now, obviously, I was far enough in my career that turning down that opportunity didn't change my life. But if you are of a mindset that every opportunity is for you, you're going to take that job. And I probably would have ended up embarrassing myself. And to me, the long-term success of my career was more important than that one job in that one moment. I've also turned down huge opportunities because those opportunities were going to hurt someone that I cared about. Like, it was going to affect their career. So I can speak from a space of absolute experience when it comes to this. And I've been in situations where it was my first time and I didn't really do a very good job. I didn't have all of the tools given to me, and I wasn't experienced enough to really do the level of job that I wanted to do. That's all those things have happened to me. That doesn't mean that I quit. It doesn't mean that I didn't deserve that opportunity, but I do think that you should respect an opportunity that you're given if you're not qualified for it, which a creator is not necessarily qualified to do a live red carpet show. Just because you have an audience doesn't mean that you're qualified for every opportunity that has an audience. So if you're given that opportunity as a creator, do the research, practice, ask questions, ask for advice, and be humble going into a space that really is not a traditional space for you. As far as the journalist side of it goes, y'all, grow up. Like, the world changes. The business of journalism, the business of media changes like every 6 months. It's not going to remain the same. The world that we went to school in 20 years ago doesn't exist. These shows, these YouTube shows, streaming, those kind of technologies were not even functioning at the time. Stop acting like everybody owes you something. No one owes you anything. These people, these creators, have cultivated huge audiences. They have done the work in a different form, for sure, but they have done the work to build audiences. At the end of the day, we all know what this is about. Numbers, ratings, eyeballs. That's how this whole business works. So if they have a loyal audience, different platforms are going to seek those audiences out. That's how it works. And yes, sometimes they're going to have a misstep and hire somebody who's unqualified, and it's going to affect their product. But you're not owed that space just because you're a trained journalist. You also have to do the work to keep up with the ever-changing landscape of media. That means you need to be on social media. You need to be making content. You need to show that you can have crossover across a bunch of different platforms. So I know a lot of different creators have weighed in kind of defending the creator space. Just, Keep it light, not too much on my girl, okay? Because y'all do have work to do when it comes to the live space, when it comes to being professional in these spaces. You're dealing with people who are having the biggest night of their lives, the Oscars, the Grammys, and some of you are on the red carpet looking crazy, looking unqualified, looking ignorant, looking like you don't know who Babyface is. Okay, so let's not act like this conversation has come out of nowhere. It's completely fair. However, I got to give it to the journalists too. Y'all need to be shifting with the ever-changing media landscape as well. You can't just rest on the fact that you went to journalism school. It's cute. I went too. It was very helpful. But the world is different now, and you have to be able to keep up with it. And nobody owes you anything. I can't say this enough. No one owes you anything. Just because you're super qualified does not mean that you are what they are looking for right now. That's just the reality of it. And it doesn't mean that you have to cheapen yourself if that's how you feel, or become a social media star. Trust me, you don't see me doing TikTok dances. Okay? There might be two videos on earth of me doing TikTok dances, and they're embarrassing. It's not what I do. But that's not the world. Do what you do and do it well, and make sure that you're available across different platforms. So that's my speech on that. I think I'm very qualified to speak on it. I've had these experiences. I know it's very controversial, but it is what it is, guys. The world has changed. As a creator and as a journalist, I see both sides of this very clearly. I think there are points made on both sides. What I would also say to the platforms is, don't embarrass yourselves, okay? Please. Some of these creators do not know what they're doing. It doesn't mean you need to hire a journalist to do it either, but like, do some research and make sure that they're at the very least going to know who it is that they're interviewing and be engaged the entire time. Or we could do a happy medium where we hire a qualified journalist who's done live work to work with the creator. We could do that as well. There are solves for this, guys. So that's my rants on the creator journalist debate. I'm sure we'll revisit it throughout the season because I'm sure this is going to come up again. But had to weigh in because it continues to go on and everybody has their opinion about it. I think there's a solve for all of it. All right, the second thing I wanted to get into today, and I am positive that we will revisit this throughout the season as well. And I talked a little bit about this last year, but it has really intensified over the past couple months because, I mean, let's be honest, they're trying real hard to get this Project 2025 thing across the finish line. They're so close. They've checked almost every box. But what I'm referring to in this conversation is people not having babies. It is everywhere. And the statistics are starting to support that women are not just having babies later, which was something that I applauded last year, that women were being more mindful about when they start to have children. They're having children in their 40s as opposed to teenage pregnancies, and that whole shift has happened. I'm very sensitive to this because I've talked a lot about not wanting children, but also having a massive family. And I also have a lot of friends who are having kids right now, friends who are going through IVF, friends who are freezing their eggs, friends who are having trouble having pregnancies, friends who have had kids, who have had pregnancy issues and postpartum. Also, I'm just sensitive to being a woman and the state of attack that women are constantly under with their bodies. So the statistics are starting to pour in, and it's a baby bust. And the conversation is, why are people not having more children? Why are Gen Z having children? Why are millennials having less children? And people, the higher ups are very concerned. Now, the higher ups are concerned because they need a workforce. Like that's just the bottom line. If people are not creating babies, then there are no workers to then go do the tasks for the elites. That's really what it all comes down to at the end of the day. But people are just being more mindful. Everything is expensive. I know we were promised cheaper eggs, but the eggs are still very expensive, and so is gas. It doesn't apply to me because I have an electric car, but for those of you who need that, I understand you're going through a lot right now. That's also, all of these things have all affected the birth rate. There's obviously a huge gender war going on. People are men and women are constantly at each other's throats. The dating scene is a disaster. Women have more access to financial stability, so they're able to make choices for themselves that don't involve having to have children or having to get married in order to have a roof over their head or food on the table. There's all these different factors. But there is a real statistical thing happening with people having children. And it's not just here in the US, but we'll talk about what's happening in the United States. Women ages 20 to 24, 85% are childless. That's up 75% over the last 10 years. Ages 25 to 29, 63% are childless. That's up 50% from 2014. And 30 to 34, 40% are childless, which is up 29% from 2014. You're seeing also like this statistic thrown around that 52% of women in their 20s and 30s are childless. And there was this suspected baby boom that was going to happen after the pandemic that didn't really stick. What we're dealing with right now is a culmination of a lot of different things. We're dealing with things being very expensive, it being very unsafe to have children. You're not safe in the hospitals. If you're a Black woman, it's incredibly unsafe to have children. You don't have paid maternity leave. It's very expensive to raise children. Childcare is expensive. Food is expensive. Gas is expensive. Eggs are expensive. They're not paying people more. There's not affordable housing. It actually makes more sense to rent a house than to buy a house right now. If you're in LA, if you don't inherit a house, good luck. Good fucking luck buying a house in Los Angeles if you don't have some rich parents or a rich auntie passing that on to you. It is a crazy, crazy time for young people to start building their lives. On top of that, you have this rise of incel and red pill hyper toxic masculinity happening. Women are shielding themselves from putting themselves in abusive and toxic situations with men. They're forming bonds with their friends and their family and building full lives outside of partners. Men are having a hard time communicating with women. There's an expectation of coming in with a certain level of money. There's all these, the world is falling apart. We're about to enter World War III. Why would you want to bring a child into these circumstances? I try to remove myself from this conversation in the way that none of these factors were ever going to affect me anyway. But I do think that when we talk about where society is shifting, and the conversation with people wanting to have children and the birth rate dropping across the planet, not just in the United States, it's because people feel unsafe. We're in a very strange time in human history where we have access to so much information and then at the same time, no information at all because it's so hard to find the truth. I'm someone, as I mentioned earlier, who's trained in knowing where statistics are coming from and finding things that are true and making sure that what I'm speaking on has value and isn't something I just pulled off of a sticker on the internet. And even for me, I have to double and triple and quadruple check to make sure that these are things that have been researched and are real. People aren't doing that. So we're constantly being fed all this information. This is bad for you. This vaccine's bad for you. Milk is bad for you. Water's bad for you. If you work out too much, it's bad for you. If you sleep too much, it's bad for you. The world is ending. You can't afford a car. You can't afford a house. People are crawling the walls. Like it's a constant stimulation that people cannot find a quiet moment to even think about building a family or finding a partner or building a life in the way that our parents or grandparents were even considering. The economy has changed. People's sociological habits have changed. People's desires to build lives in different ways have changed. So to put this pressure on young people specifically, that they've all just gotten away from the ways of God or whatever this new propaganda is for pro-family, which is a whole situation, which we'll get to in a second, is really unfair. You're not considering all of the factors. Now, if we want to get into the propaganda side of it, obviously they just had the conservative parade party where women were talking about, start training your children to think about having kids, even if they can't afford them. There's a whole trad wife movement that women need to get back into the kitchen, into the house. They need free labor again. Women are, the family values and all that have gone away. There's this constant feeling that Handmaid's Tale is right around the corner. And maybe it is. By the way, don't look for me. I'm not in Canada. At the end of the day, I want people to focus on what it is that they truly want, because the amounts of information that people are being fed about this particular topic is so loaded with propaganda. It's so loaded with misinformation. It's so loaded with terror and rage that I don't even think people can really make solid decisions anymore without a complete feeling of doom. And if the people in charge really, which they don't, but if they really wanted to create a society where people were excited about families again and feeling comfortable creating these environments for children to come into, it wouldn't be a nightmare to have a child. It wouldn't cost thousands of dollars to have a child in the United States of America. My friend just had a baby. I'm not going to tell you what her hospital bill was, but she had insurance, thousands of dollars to have a baby. A completely stable, married couple, planned child, thousands of dollars. She had to have an emergency C-section, traumatizing, thousands of dollars. The maternity rate for especially for Black women in this country is insane. It is dangerous. If you get pregnant in certain states and you have a miscarriage, you could go to jail. What is the motivation to be pregnant in a state where you can go to jail for a miscarriage? But you want people to have children? Make it make sense. Forget how expensive it is. Forget how you're trying to roll back every single right that women have within marriages. They're trying to get rid of no-fault divorce. It's just a wild, wild time to be a woman, and it's a wild time to be somebody who wants to start a family. I am in some ways grateful that this isn't something that I have to worry about, but wow, like just seeing the people in my life who are starting families, who have children, the things and the conversations that I have with them about the things that they have to worry about, even the things that we have discovered people have been up to that we didn't even know were possible, like within the Epstein files. Like there was like things you worried about with having a child. And now it's like, oh, I didn't know also that like someone could kidnap them and eat them. That wasn't on the board for me when I was thinking about things I would be worried about with my kid. So it's an ongoing discussion. I know things are going to get wilder and wilder as this current regime progresses and as the push for Project 2025 goes on. I'm just constantly shocked at the just the convoluted conversations, the empty conversations around people not having children, and just how much is included in the big picture of why it's happening. And considering that it's happening all over the world, it's more than just Americans have lost their way and God has left the country. Like that's honestly like the weakest level of propaganda. If you want to know what's really going on, think a bit deeper, think a level deeper, because it's happening all over the world. And I think it's a reflection of the times that we're living in. And, you know, I think family is important. I think people should keep having children. By the way, I feel like my quota is met. Like I have 14 nieces and nephews and another one on the way. So I feel like my family has checked the box for like the repopulation. I feel like I'm in the clear. Like I'll just count one. If you have one, like you've checked the box. Is that how it works? So I'll just take one of my nieces and nephews. I've got spares, you know. 15 is a pretty solid number. The Taylor family has checked the box on repopulating the earth, keeping the quota going. Okay, it's time for, I think, my favorite segment of the show, Never Too Personal. This one is a very timely question. Could you be friends with someone who supports President Trump? So I thought this was a good tie-in to have the conversation about Chili and Nick Cannon. So I think at this point, everyone knows the situation, but Chili got caught up this week. She has a tour coming up, and she had reposted a video about Michelle Obama, accidentally conspiracy theory that Michelle Obama is a man. She also donated to several Republican groups, including the Trump National Committee. So she has been found out as MAGA. Nick Cannon, much more upfront about it. He was talking with Amber Rose. He said that he F's with Trump because he is frustrated with the Democratic Party. And he also called the Democratic Party the party of the KKK. He has praised Trump's disruptor energy and describes himself as politically ambiguous. He isn't a part of any particular party. They're both evil. So everyone is up in arms about the two of them. Now, the question was, could you be friends with someone who supports President Trump? The short answer is supports currently, absolutely not. Am I friends with people who have voted for President Trump in the past? Do I know people who have voted for Trump who feel differently now or who have learned that was a mistake? Yes. Could I be friends with someone who is actively today in the year of our Lord 2026, the year of Beyonce 2026, supporting Trump? No, that's going to be a hard no for me. The experience that we have all gone through over, how long has it been? I don't know. It feels like a lifetime. How long have we been dealing with this man? Since 2016, so like 10 years. Over the past 10 years, dealing with Trump, the endless things that I could list that are just complete madness. Being friends with someone who currently supports Trump would mean that I am friends with someone who is an accused pedophile. Accused is light. I'm saying accused, alleged for legal purposes only, because we obviously know what the situation is. Moving beyond any of the other things that he has done, which is a encyclopedia-sized list, that's going to be a no for me. And I have to draw the line somewhere. I feel like prison rules is safe. Prison rules feels good. So the thing with Chili and Nick Cannon that ties into this Never Too Personal and why I couldn't do it and why so many people are frustrated with Chili and with Nick Cannon is being ignorant in 2026 and having a platform is not acceptable. There's too much at stake. There's certain times in history where you're living in unprecedented times is not the right way to say it. You're living in historic times. There's been times throughout my almost 40 years on this earth where it just feels like life is just happening. Like maybe somewhere in the world, something historical is happening, but it doesn't feel like it's like happening to us. Right now will be talked about. This moment will be talked about if we make it to the future in future history books. This is an important, serious time in history. What's happening right now. And we've passed the points of being ambiguous, and we've passed the point of not picking a side. You're not allowed to do that anymore. You can have a difference of an opinion on a particular subject. You can have a particular moral standpoint that you disagree with something, but you have to pick a side. And it's been like that for a while, but really right now, you have to pick a side. And if you're going to announce things in the way that Nick Cannon did, you've got to be educated. Yes, he is half right. The Democratic Party was the party of the KKK. But tell the rest of the story or don't tell it at all, because you're not telling the entire story. And people like to throw these half facts out to appear educated, and they're not. And then when they get cooked about it, they're like, well, I'm right. Like, yeah, you are right. That was the party of the KKK. But it's not the party of the KKK now. It's not the party of the KKK now. And there was a shift, and it's obvious, and you've got to read the whole book. And with Chili, if you're going to stand on that, if you're going to support someone who has done all of the things he's done leading up to this current election, then stand on it. But she's coming out and trying to say that she didn't know, and that excuse just doesn't work anymore. The other part of it for me is, and I've been beating this drum for years, is the cancel culture drum. If you work in entertainment, nobody has to spend their money with you. No one has to do that. If you beat someone up, if you beat up a woman, if you hurt a child, if you vote for someone who's an accused pedophile and rapist and encouraged a coup If you don't know what that means, it means they, on January 6th, they tried to overthrow the government, the United States of America. They tried to overthrow the government. They didn't pull it off because they have Mountain Dew IVs and Cheeto fingers, so they weren't organized enough, but they did try it. They did try it. That did happen. If you're going to support that, you're going to have to stand on that. And that's the reality of this situation in time. So I just, it's hard. It's a hard time now for everyone. People have really strong opinions. People want to be in between things. I'm a registered independent, but let me be very clear. What the fuck am I gonna say? I'm not MAGA, like, be fucking for real. I don't even feel like that's a silly fucking thing to say. I am disgusted by our current state in this country. I'm disgusted by our leaders. I am embarrassed by our leaders. I think everyone who has two brain cells that communicate with each other should be irate all the time. Everyone should be enraged. And if you work in entertainment and you're going to put your thoughts out there, I want you to understand nobody has an obligation to continue to support you. You don't sell milk. You make music. People don't have to continue being fans of you. And for years, this has always been a conversation. Why I have freedom of speech. Yes, you fucking do. Are you in jail? No. Then you have freedom of speech, baby. That's how that works. You aren't free from consequences. And we live in this time and space that for years, people have been hammering down the idea of consequences. Nobody should have to suffer consequences. And we've gone so far now that there's an entire list of pedophiles. And the only person who has had any consequences is the woman, which, by the way, fuck her. She should have consequences. It's just ironic that that is the situation. As consequences, the anti-consequence culture has gone so far that we are now actually holding no one accountable for anything. So if you are in entertainment and you're choosing to voice your opinion, stand on that and understand people do not have to agree with you. Your employer doesn't have to keep you. The fans don't have to keep supporting you. People don't have to keep wearing your jersey. People don't have to keep going to your shows. They don't have to keep watching your movies. They don't have to do that. I don't have to spend my hard-earned ass money on your bullshit product if I don't like you anymore. I'm also free to react to that. I've done this rant, I think, 40 fucking times. It is just so frustrating. So I hope I answered the question. No, I couldn't be friends with someone that supports Trump right now because I go by prison rules. So no, it's gonna be a no for me. There's been a long journey that we've gone over the past 10 years. A lot of things have happened. And with Nick Cannon and with Chili right now, people just have a very low tolerance for acting like you know a thing or two and not really standing on a side. You got to stand on a side right now. There's so many times throughout history where, for fun, I like to read really depressing, sad, giant history books. Haley actually brought me. I'm going to try and read the dragon books. Which one is it? The fairy books. Okay, I'm starting with the fairy books. What is it? Crown of Roses? Court of Roses? Court of Roses. I'm going to try and lighten it up. I've been told I need to lighten up a little bit. So, but I will read these really traumatic, horrible stories of humans just committing these mass atrocities to each other. And I'm just like, wow, like, how could this happen? How could you convince this many people to be this evil for no fucking reason? They get nothing out of this. They don't get money. They don't get fame. They don't get fucking women. They don't get a big house. Like, they get nothing out of this. It's just pure violence and rage. And then they put their lives in danger. And then millions of them die too. Why the fuck do people do this? It just overwhelms me, the thought that people could do this. And then I see how we are living and treating each other right now. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like, it's happening right now. And it's because people are indifferent. You have to stand for something. And if you stand on it, stand all the way fucking over there. And when they betray you, which they will, you can't come scurrying back. You can have an opinion here or there. You can have a conservative opinion about something. But as a whole, if you're standing with people that are doing things that would get you fucked up in prison, you're probably on the wrong side of it. I'm just saying. They would get fucked up in prison. So maybe you're on the wrong side of it. That's all I'm saying. Hope that answered your question. If you want to participate in the show, DM us Too Personal Show, or you can email us at twopersonalpodcast@gmail.com, or we post every Sunday. We post a prompt so you can put it in there on IG. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I'm so excited for this season. Thank you for coming to hang out. If you are already a subscriber, if you're new, welcome. I won't always be so, but I've been around for a while. So, I feel like I kept it kind of light with the creator thing. I didn't want to do too much gloom and doom, although it does feel like the world is ending. But at least for the next few days, it won't, hopefully, and you'll enjoy the podcast. So next week, we'll have some really fun guests. We have a lot of fun things coming up this year. Again, let me know if there's somebody that you want to have on the show. Please follow, like, subscribe, and share. We love you guys, and we'll catch you next week.